Appreciate you, bro.
Me too. Bro. It's funny, like trying to just have a conversation with you, with forgetting that there's things that are recording us. It's like a new idea for me because it hasn't been done, and I'm sitting here trying to be like, well, somebody, if there wasn't a camera, if there wasn't a microphone, if there were just people sitting around doing it, right? And it's really interesting how even just having to go through that conscious thought keeps a barrier still there, right? And my goal, my mission is to like get rid of that. It not be there. You have the same experience?
Yeah. You know, and we build up these walls, these barriers of things. What, 10 minutes ago, there was the chicken that was running loose in your backyard, and I was like, Chad, should I grab it, man? And you're like, you just have to go in, and I just sat there, and I was like, is this chicken gonna peck me? Am I gonna get rabies? Am I gonna, like, I just listened all these things in my head that just made this, like, it was a chicken, man. And, you know, you're like, you just have to go, you just have to dive in. And I just went in and I picked up your chicken, and it was just a powerful experience, man. But it's like, you know, like, that's what it is. Like, that is humanity in a nutshell, and what we're doing to ourselves. Like, we just set up barrier after barrier after barrier. It's a chicken. Just grab it, man.
It's a conversation.
Yeah.
Just have it.
You know, right? That's what I'm saying. People need to talk about things that actually matter in life. They need to, you know, think about things that are important, and they need to come together and realize that we haven't put ourselves in the, you know, the best situations, you know, especially in the U.S. And there's so much that we can do with just quick, simple changes.
Absolute. And what's really funny is that I think for us in our culture, we're thinking it's this new revolutionary idea, but like everybody I've hung out with from around the world, like say from Africa, Central America, or Polynesia, wherever it is, they do this on the regular. Like they get down and they talk to each other on a real level, and it's just who they are. And I think that for a long time they must have been looking at those like strange white folks being like, what? Like, I mean, I guess that's like ha'ole, right? In Hawaii, like that's without breath. It's when I heard that, it explained the people that I grew up with to a T, being like, yeah, they don't know how to share with each other. They don't know how to like be in communion with one another. And that's why I always thought that like communion at church was such a strange thing, because it's like, all right, we're all in communion, but I'm not allowed to like look at you or talk to you. I have to like sit here and do my little like eat Jesus thing, and it didn't really ever make a lot of sense. Why am I not communing with others? And so I think that that's as novel as an idea as it sounds, maybe that's some of the best medicine we can give people right now, is just how to talk to each other and like look at each other and smile at one another and tell each other that we love them, and I don't know, basic stuff.
Like, where have you been in this world, brother? You've been all around, man, and that's just like that to me is timeless progress. That to me is like, you decided that, you know, you weren't gonna have someone else dictate what you were gonna do in life. This life was gonna be yours, and you were gonna create that, you were gonna write that, you were gonna build your own story, and it's beautiful to see, man. So I just like to, you know, hear about, you know, some of your travels, some of your stories, where you've been.
Yeah. I think for me, probably the most meaningful, well, you know, it's funny that we're sitting right here. Like, this is the house that I grew up in. This is the house that my father grew up in. My grandfather built this place, and that's kind of like a typical American trope, or like a trope around the world of passing things down. My whole childhood, I felt like this place was so confining. Like, it was this restrictive element in my life, and I always had to get out. I had to go. And so when I was able to, I would just start like, I'd be like, all right, let's go to Baltimore, let's go to DC. Whoa, I've never been to Philadelphia. And like, the further I went out, the hungrier I got to go further out, because I was like, oh my gosh, I grew up in a place where everybody talked the same, dressed the same, act the same, and it was always like a pretty limiting perspective. And even though I was going out and eventually came to that realization that everybody in the world is actually the same people, and everybody thinks the same way, feels the same way, they just kind of do it in a different format. It took me having to go and get really hungry for it to realize that coming back here, this is where it's at. Like, this is where I'm from, and this is where the change needs to happen. But I didn't get there really until I think it all kind of culminated when I went to Hawaii, and like here I was in this place that is technically, legally, illegally a part of the United States, but is vastly different in culture and mentality and perception. And that's really what it was, is that my perception in that place got blown to smithereens. And what I thought I knew about the world was completely false. And then from there, it was like a rebuilding. And so that was the place, man. That was where it really came down for me and taught me to come back here to realize that it's a slight shift of perspective that people need. And if they can just see that there's something else out there, except for right here and right here, that they know, a lot can open up.
Right.
Huge amount can open up.
Is it a crazy idea to think that, you know, you can go outside of your immediate friend groups, you know, the people that even at sometimes relationships can even be forced, that you can go outside of that immediate friend group and you can find, you know, just these beautiful people all around the world that are basically the same as you, know, same ideals, same views, same passions, but you have to break out of that ability, like that initial comfort zone that we're all seem to be trapped in at the moment.
Yeah, so I guess that's the shared question that we have, that everybody here and a lot of people who are probably going to watch this have that same question. Because I know for me it comes up of like that person, why don't they get it? Why are they missing the point? But my question is like, what is it that prompts people to have that shift of perspective, to exit that mode of fear that says, no, the other is bad, that person who looks different, talks different, maybe sees the world a little bit differently, they're bad, I don't want to associate with them. Because I even know that, like, when I was younger, I had conditioned feelings about that. I know a lot of people who are on the groovy right now had that. So what is it that we can do through the mediums we have available, like film, connectivity, audio, farming, skateboarding, whatever your steez is, what is it that gets us to that point of flipping our paradigm just a little bit so that we don't have that fear response and can look outside and see it?
I mean, there's that, I don't know, I just have this passion for this, like the intangible connection that connects human to humans, or, you know, humans to products, services, whatever it is, but like what makes us go to that next step in life. And I just have such an interest in that. Like, what is that drive? You know, like I look at it and I'd like to think that love is a big part of that you genuinely love something. Something, you know, tingles inside of you and you feel it enough that you want to go out and make that physical connection. You know, it's something from this internal world that really makes you feel something to go out and break through that comfort zone. You know, I think two of those biggest things right there are self-love and then empathy. You know, feeling what another person is feeling. I feel like we don't have enough empathic relationships where you can, you know, really like, you know, sit yourself down, try to put yourself in someone else's shoes and just realize that, like, regardless of, you know, who you are, what you are, your background, where you've ever been in this life, like there is always someone out there that has it worse than you. You know, we live in America, which we'd like to think is, you know, one of the greatest places in the world, and we see on the news all the time of all the wars that are going on, all the civil wars, all the crime, all the hate in different countries, but do we actually get to feel that? You know, and when you sit down with these people, I think we both can say the same. We've sat down with people in these other countries, you know, in developing countries, and seen that, you know, they are some of the most loving, caring, passionate people that have absolutely nothing. You know, we take these basic necessities that we have here for granted, and we don't really appreciate that. So, you know, I think like self-love, really being able to appreciate you and what you have, you know, being graceful, being, you know, gracious for this area and who has come in to really help you grow, your failures, your experiences, your learned lessons, like all of that. You have to learn to love you and love yourself. And then from there, you know, when you start to appreciate yourself, you realize that other people are going through this kind of like crazy era as well, where, you know, they don't really know what they're doing. They're still trying to find their way regardless of what their age they're at. You know, after finishing school, I came to the realization that, you know, most people are still trying to piece it out together. You know, just add some kids, add some relationships, add some bills, but still trying to figure it out. And I think, you know, self-love and empathy and really sitting there and just like feeling what another person feels is just how you break through that comfort zone and how you just make genuine connections in life.
Yeah. And that, like, there's this bubble, and I think, like, when you were just talking about that, those negative emotions, there's like bubble that has to pop at some point, because that kind of expansion of hatred and greed and avarice and all that stuff, it's like trying to farm land in a non-regenerative way forever. It just hits this point. Non-regenerative way forever. It just hits this point. You can't do it. Some can only hate for so long. Some people survive on it for a long time. It feels to me like there's this bubble about to burst, and when that bursts, there's going to be a vacuum. I'm down for that vacuum. Hours, and the question that always came up, at least the one that I remember always coming up, because there were many, but it seems easy sometimes when maybe someone's on the cusp of change, right? And they have an experience that says, or this thing I thought is totally different, right? When someone's on the edge and something can push them on the edge or over the edge, then that change really occurs. But the question we always had was, if the myriad of doors of perception exists inside of all of us, and we all have that ability to walk through those doors and change our perception continuously, endlessly. If you're talking to somebody who not only fears walking through that door, but they don't even know the door exists within themselves, how is that person to be accessed? Are we supposed to worry for that person to be accessed? And what do we do for those folks who, like, basically don't even know that door of love, self-love, empathy, compassion, and all of that exists within them?
Big thing with that is, like, looking at your relationships right now. You know, I think relationship audits are a massive thing. Is you look through your relationships and you see, you know, is this person adding value into my life? Is this person, you know, helping me grow? Because time is the most valuable currency in the world, and you know, you have to expense your time in the right places. You have to use your time with the right people that'll help you become the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think that a big thing for that is through your relationships and seeing, you know, is this person right for me? You know, are these people helping me grow? Do these people, you know, make me feel good about myself? Do I make them feel good about themselves? And I think as we start to realize that, you know, you have to look and realize that your problems, they're not just your problems. Everyone has these same kind of problems, going through the same things, regardless of how bad you think you have it. Like, please, you know, like, people really need to start remembering that there's always someone out there that has it worse. Yeah. So when you start focusing on what are the relationships that are helping me grow, think having positive reinforcement, being the product of the people you spend the most time around with, that then opens you up to your first door of just starting to appreciate yourself. When you're with good people, you know you're good as well. If you're with bad people, more times than not, you know, you start to think you're a shithead as well. Yeah. So it's relationships first, because we're in this connected world where we have to, you know, start realizing that, like, we all make a difference. We all matter, just like our cells working together, our trillions of cells working together to create this being. You know, what is that? That's every cell coming together and making you. We have to make this world us by coming together and realizing that connection. And I think it starts by really figuring out who's right to be in your life and who's not. And what I've seen as well, you know, I think that we do have some sort of you know, an image of what Eastern cultures have brought to life, with just, you know, genuine relationships where family is everything, where that, you know, that passion to hug each other. And, you know, as simple as a hug, like, I feel like, you know, when I was in Mexico, last month, every hug that I got was just like, they held you, and like, they held you strong, and they wanted you to feel their heart. And that's what I felt with every person. And that was pure passion, man. I feel like, you know, we have it here, but I don't know if it's getting away from us, it's running away from us. But you look at, you know, like Napoleon Hill in you know, Think and Grow Rich talked about the mastermind circle, and he was like, you know, once again talking about a friend audit and looking at the relationships that actually add value to you. You know, you got to figure out who do you want to ultimately grow with? Because I'm telling you, you get around the right people, then you will evolve to new degrees. Like, you get around somebody that you genuinely want to learn from, you're going to learn so much more from them. And that's a problem that I feel like we do have, is that, we look at people that, whatever we deem as successful or happy or whatever, we look at people like that, and immediately, I feel like a lot of our first reactions here is that, you're angry at them, you're jealous of them, you're envious, you're like, why are they succeeding? Why are these people happy? And it's like, I live this life that, I'm not happy, I'm not doing what I want, my boss is a jerk, and you're just keep naming negative after negative after negative, and it builds up when it's like, you're not waking up every morning and saying, God, I'm grateful that I woke up today, then you're missing out on something key, and it's your relationships, it's where you're expensing your time, and it's what you're doing with your energy, because we are so powerful, man. The human being is so powerful, and we have all this power within, but we expense that into toxicity, we expense that into things that don't necessarily use our power in the right way. We need to channel that energy and that power back within, so that we can become better, better selves. We can start having self-love. Self-love leads to empathy. Empathy leads to positive connections and positive relationships. And once you have positive connections, relationships, you have those conversations. Conversations with the right people lead to action, and that's how you create some sort of change. But it starts with doing an audit on your life. It starts with, shifting that perception a little bit. I'm telling you, at first it might be a little hard. I've certainly didn't